Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And it's a pleasure for me today to go ahead and introduce our next guest. We've had her on before, not in this setting, but in another setting, Tantalizing Tuesday Award nominated. We have a burlesque performer, Lottie Ellington, here with us today. Hey, Lottie. How are you?
All right.
It's so great to have you here. So great to have you here. And we had you on before on Tantalizing Tuesday. So I think during the summer, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, during the summer. How was that for you?
It was fun. Had a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
fun.
It was nice to get to,
Yeah, hang out. Yeah, so we love tantalizing Tuesdays over here. Well, so glad to have you back, premier burlesque performer. Um, you know, tell me something, when it comes to burlesque, what are some of the misconceptions about burlesque do you think that people used to have that you think that you've seen, being changed in, just pub how the public views burlesque? Have you seen any change in that way?
mm, a little bit of change. I think people are there. It's becoming. It's slowly kind of creeping more into the mainstream. So,
Mm-hmm.
there isn't the stigma. However, we are expanding. So, in
Mm-hmm.
a lot of ways, again, there's like an expansion. So, whereas people uh, years ago people kind of had this idea that burlesque was it's classy and
Mm-hmm.
we're better than strippers. I think now we're getting to the point where we're recognizing that just in general sex work or sexy work
Mm-hmm.
is all valid, and
Yes.
that we are on the spectrum, or at least we fall under the umbrella of sex
Mm-hmm.
work, even though we don't do like the a lot of us don't do that hard work of
Mm-hmm.
sex work, but we are still under the umbrella. And at the end of the day, um, regardless if I'm doing burlesque or if I'm working, doing virtual strip shows or
Mm-hmm.
OnlyFans, at the end of the day, I'll still be categorized the same. So
Yeah.
there's no reason to try to separate myself and say, oh no, I'm not one of those strippers. I don't do that. Like, no, you get paid and your
Yeah.
clothes come off. So how about it?
Makes sense, makes sense. And for viewers out there who they um don't know who you are, haven't seen our Tantalizing Tuesday, give us a little bit about yourself, a little background and how you started with burlesque.
Oh goodness. I started burlesque in April 2011. That was my debut. Before that, I had gone to a show in Richmond. I'm from was from Virginia, and went to a show in Richmond and was like, "Oh my God, I can totally do that!" Because again, years of being just black, but also spending time doing. I was in college. I was in the band, and so I recognized a lot of those movements
Yeah.
and sort of the energy, that showgirl vibe and that showgirl
Mm,
energy. Um, I recognized that. And so I was like, ooh, this is like being in the band in college. Like,
yeah.
yes. And yeah, a lot of these, kind of caressing movements that you see in Black college are kind of reminiscent of old style showgirls and in a lot of ways in burlesque. So that's kind of how I got started. From there, I debuted, I performed, I built my built up what I was doing, built up
Mhm.
my persona, um, and yeah, just kind of went from there. In 2015, I got like famous or infamous.
Not infamous.
Infamous. I got infamous in 2015 for being the twerking teacher, because at
Oh
the time I
wow.
was a public school teacher, and
Ah,
someone found out that I was doing burlesque, and it was ooh bad burlesque. You can't do that. Um,
wow.
and so then that kind of blew up and went viral. And
Little controversy, honey, a little controversy gets the people going.
yeah, it does something. So then I got that moniker and that tagline, and so it just kind of stuck. So then about a
Yeah.
year later, I started teaching burlesque because
That's
up
what I
until
was
that
just about to say. So you transitioned into something else. And tell me a little, not a little, tell me actually a lot about the Ellington Academy of Burlesque.
yes, Ellington Academy of Burlesque. So that opened up in July of this year. It's a specific. Our goal for the Ellington Academy of Burlesque. It was born out of just the civil unrest of this year, and with the pandemic and things being shut down, and realizing that okay, we have to move from real world over to a virtual world.
Yeah.
And as it always happens, you look up and you have shows that are now in the virtual world where you have access to all of these people, so many people, and you still have the same 16 skinny white performers performing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the excuse being, well, we don't know any people of color, we don't know any LGBTQ performers. And so I said, oh well, you're lying, but also let me help remedy that. And so my goal was, the mission statement of Ellington Academy is to teach again the elements of burlesque,
Mm.
specifically um, focusing on marginalized communities, so Black,
I
trans,
love that.
LGBTQ, brown, just because now you don't have an excuse. Because if I'm churning
Yes.
out students every, twice a year, then you've got people that you can choose from now, and you can't say, well, I don't know anyone, I'm not good.
Yes, and
Yeah.
which is very important because one of the things I did want to talk about is, Black people and queer people within the burlesque scene, in within many of the scenes, and especially how their own niches and subcultures that are forming and even becoming bigger now as we see some rise in that, with Black people, queer people, different people being in that. Tell me what that is like for you, and where do you see this going, and where do you want to see it go?
Well, it is moving. Luckily, because burlesque in drag are sort of like stepsisters, there is a lot of kind of transfer over.
Yeah.
So it's not, again, it's and because of modern burlesque is very female identified and very female
Hmm.
run. So we are lucky for the most part that we don't have a huge cisgender hetero male normative
Yeah.
influence. So
Yeah.
we are able to have performers that are trans, that are disabled, that are neurodivergent, that are, that run the spectrum, that are bigger bodies, and include them into this, as opposed to having to cater to thin, white, pale, tattooed.
Yeah. I
Um,
guess that's usually the standard.
that's I think
The-
again, it's the default.
yes.
However, it's, in all honesty, that's not the majority, and
Yeah.
it's not the majority of the world, and it's the majority of the burlesque scene.
Yes.
So again, bringing those in and saying, hey, we're gonna see, and again, being able to say to people, hey, you want to be sexy, whatever sexy is for you. Or maybe you're not
Yes.
sexy, maybe you're funny, maybe you're political. So bring your art, whatever that is, and bring it to this table, and where it can be enjoyed, and it can be developed, and it can be seen. And don't worry about, is my art sexy, or is my art appealing to cisgender heterosexual males?
There we go. I love that. I love that.
Because there are people that like stuff that isn't cisgender.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. I love that. I love that. So as we move into 2021, 2020 has been itself a wild year.
talk about 2020.
So as we move into 2021, what are you looking forward to? And hopefully with a light at the end of the tunnel, what changes are you looking forward to with your career, with the academy? What's on the outlook for you for 2021?
Building the academy, being able to offer some more classes, different types of classes. I know that there are people that like dance classes. And so being able to, I'm working with some other, working with some performers to say, hey, would you like to offer a dance class? Because some people just want to come and dance, and some people just want to learn how to do a sexy dance, and they aren't
Yeah.
really interested in being burlesque. They don't mind maybe doing a burlesque, but they aren't really of the mindset or in the space to be able to be burlesque. And so I want to try to give those people a space too. Right now, my focus is on people who want to be burlesque,
Yes.
like want to do this as their, as part of their life. So opening and expanding that, my goal is definitely to work on my different able populations, being able to bring them in and say, hey, you too can do burlesque. I was in a wonderful workshop last week through BurleyCon, which is our burlesque education convention, that was
Ah,
all disabled. And
wow.
I mean, everything from wheelchairs to walkers to mobility aids, canes, kneeling scooters, like all of that was represented. And I was like, mind blown, but
Oh,
also
that's amazing.
using those things as extensions of the bodies and not as props. So
Yeah.
recognizing that if you have a mermaid act, it's fine that you don't move around as much as a mermaid, but it's also inappropriate and kind of an ableist to say, oh, well, I'm just going to be a mermaid and I'm going to jump in a wheelchair. Well, if you don't have a reason to be in a wheelchair and you don't need a wheelchair, then why are you using that as a prop? It's
Yeah. 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 Definitely, definitely. Oh, great, 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 great. And a great way to round this out. At this point, I'd like to do some shameless plugs, Lottie. So, how can people find you, follow you, keep up with you, and learn more about the Academy?
the Academy right now is on Facebook and on Instagram. The next session will start in January after the new year, just because Christmas and all of that. I was like, I don't want to start anything new. You can follow Lottie Ellington on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. So I don't do a whole lot on TikTok, but I do like to play around and do silly videos on TikTok. So yes, those are the platforms. Also my website, LottieEllington.com. And I'll get the school will have a website coming soon. I want to get settled first. And then once I
Yeah.
get it, then work on building that infrastructure. So it's sort of
Awesome.
in the basement kind of deal right now.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Lottie, best of luck. I wish you success and everything good as we move into a new year. Thank you so much for joining us once again here and making your debut to our YouTube live. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you. And the links will be in the description for our viewers. Thank you all for watching. Bye, everyone.